There's Batigal.
Batigel means lesbian.
Oh,
Bati
good
boy means fucking gay.
yeah,
Right?
Bati boy.
Batiman, you know what I mean, is still gay man.
Yeah.
Batiman day. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
more direct.
Yeah. And bati fish is a more delicate batiman.
I see.
Like, you know, so
Romantic.
So you're gay, but like effeminate gay.
I see.
You know what I mean?
It's a Sholo show, so buckle in tight. One's got jokes and the other stage fright. Wait, Carlos, stage fright? Never! From Kabul streets to Hollywood scenes, the louder than dreams and crazier than memes. Is this legal? Probably not. Schwab and Carlo, breaking all the rules, rubbing hot takes, and acting like fools. It's laughs, it's chaos, it's totally unpro. Welcome to the madness, the Shallow Show. Let's go!
Hello, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to the Sholo Show. Where here we talk about all kinds of different topics. Now, what topic are we talking about today?
Yes, today we're talking about childhood memories. What made us who we are as such fine little adults as we become.
Goodness, there's
Yes,
a lot to
a
break
lot to
down
go.
in that.
Nothing very informative, just to have a little fun, be goofy, just serious.
Just so we're aware, there is
Yeah.
a lot of childhood trauma.
yes, we're
that
gonna
I can
skip
talk.
a lot of them.
We're gonna skip it? Really? I thought we were just gonna get into it.
We
No?
get into it to a level.
Okay.
See where it goes.
All right. So
All
let's
right.
go.
Okay. So first off, foremost, we talk about serious situation
Mhm.
that we took.
Mhm.
Remember from your childhood that
Mhm.
wasn't so serious.
That
as a
wasn't so serious.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I
Can you give me an example?
I could tell you this one moment walking home from work.
Mhm.
Work. What the hell? School.
Work?
Work.
You're in school. What were you
School.
fucking
What-
working? Were you a
it's-
slave? Like,
it's
what's
a
going on?
habit. Every day I walk home from work. So, okay, flashback to a
Uh-huh.
time where we were just walking home from school,
And wait. How old were you?
elementary.
So
Such.
5, 6, 7?
I was grade 5, grade 6. Happened multiple times.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So around that range, I would occasionally forget my key, and I will realize that well, I'm at my door, at my house,
Uh-huh.
around 3 p.m.
Yeah.
and trauma, can't get in, so I just sit outside on a hallway
Uh-huh.
and just wait for my mom.
Oh,
And this
dear.
is where it gets very uncertain.
So this was a house,
It's a condominium.
a condominium. Okay.
Condominium,
Mhm.
8th floor,
And the 8th floor. All right.
most ghetto block in
Uh-huh.
Mississauga.
Wait. Let's paint a picture. Which block in Mississauga are you talking about?
Specifically here, Ontario, Pisley area.
Here,
Not
Ontario, piss.
All the immigrants.
Oh no.
Yes. You know, you realize you don't have your keys with
Uh-huh.
you. You can't get in.
Mhm.
You just want to be home, and
dear.
don't all kind of stressful thoughts come to your head.
And you're hungry.
That's the least of my worries.
Is it?
Kidnapping, this ghetto
Oh.
building. Occasionally. So you just create scenarios in your head and you start crying.
Oh my goodness.
I
Okay.
remember sitting down on the floor just crying, not even worried about anything, just keep on crying away. And neighbor opens the door. Everything's all right? Yes, everything's all right.
As you're crying. You see, I can relate to that because I grew up in Toronto in the late 80s and early 90s. And in my area where I was going to grade school in, there was a lot of kids that were going missing.
Oh,
Yes, at the time, right?
Toronto.
Yes. This happened in the 90s. So there was a van that was seen in the area that was just snatching kids
Oh.
from the neighborhood, right?
That's real?
Oh yes, this
I
was.
thought it was just
Oh
cartoons.
no.
just open up.
So it got so bad in our neighborhood, which I will tell you what neighborhood it is. It was the Kiel and Eglinton neighborhood. Okay. Yes, in the Bicknell and Kiel Street Elementary School. That's where I went to. Okay. And it got so bad that the kids were going missing and the kids were being abducted in a rape van.
Okay.
It was a white van. Just they would see though that this van, and people were just like afraid of every white van that was in the neighborhood because kids were just going missing. That they brought in a taekwondo teacher.
Huh?
Yes.
To teach the kids?
To teach the kids in grade 3. We were in grade 3 and grade 4. And I remember this, that they taught us how to deal with if an adult grabbed you by the wrist and tried to take you into a van.
Real.
It was so fucked up. And I remember just the constant stress because at that time, so I was what? I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I was just starting to walk home by myself. My mother had just trusted me. You know what I mean? I had grown up enough to be able to just go home on my own. And then the rape van started to happen. Right? So it caused so much stress because we had to learn how to, if an adult grabbed us, how to twist our wrist, how to scream, no, and how to kick this motherfucker in the knee and then run. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we were taught how to be a Power Ranger during the time when Power Rangers were at their peak, and it was just a constant stressful situation. So I don't know if that qualifies as something that you thought wasn't so
okay. No, that's actually very serious. That's something you should be very dramatic about.
What I'm saying is that
rape van.
As a child, we were prepared, right? It never happened to me. No van ever stopped in front of me and say, "Hey, little boy,
don't eat this one.
Do you want to come in and eat some ice cream?" Because yes, I would have said yes. I was really easy, okay? All you had to do was just offer me a motherfucking cookie. And I would be like, cookie?
And free rape?
Free rape? What the fuck? You know what I mean? So it would have been really easy to trick me because I love the fucking sweets. You know what I mean? But thankfully, it never happened. And on top of that, I was prepared in case some man decided to grab me by my wrist and said, "Come here, I'm taking you with me." You know what I mean?
You're gonna scream at him?
Yes.
No.
No. Kick him in the fucking, so you twist your wrist and you kick him in the knee. You know what I mean? And I remember that. I remember that being so traumatic. You know what I mean?
Just the stories you hear about?
Because it did happen. There was 2 kids that went missing in our school. Because of that, and we never saw them again. Poor little Sean, poor little Cody. Did they ever find their bodies? Who knows?
Sean and Cody's.
So does that qualify as something that you didn't think was so big?
Okay, that's very serious. No, it's interesting though. I could relate. A little bit. Okay, so this was in Iran, back home when I was a child, and you hear a lot of stories of kidnapping. There was some old man you always hear about. He would just those stories that he kidnaps people. And you don't believe it. That's just story. Just stay away from it. And we would joke around about it. We run around playing and then tease each other. Oh, be careful. At one point, one day, I was just walking along a path and I see this man coming towards us, but from a corner. So he takes a turn. We see him head first and he has a rock in his hand.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So what was he going to do with that rock?
I was scared. I'm trying to run away.
Yeah.
I'm screaming, let's go this other way. But my cousin right beside me, much bigger guy, very confident, like, don't worry about it.
How old was your cousin at this time?
I was about 5.
And your cousin?
6. He's about 5-6 years older than me.
Oh, shit. Okay,
At
so
that time.
you guys are still kids then.
Yeah. Yeah, 10-year-old for him. So confident. Of course, he didn't really try anything. This man, I remember he had this rock in his hand, and as we passed by him, behind us, he stopped. for whatever reason.
Okay.
And so we just kept walking and he turned his direction.
Okay.
So we walked faster. We
Uh-huh.
lost him. Old man, he can't catch up.
No, yeah,
No,
yeah.
He has to give us the ice cream first.
Ah.
Or the cookie. No, he had a rock. And no, we passed by him. After that, oh man, the stories of kidnapping was so serious. I started staying at home.
Wow.
Yeah.
But like, was anything ever proven that this man was the one that was taking kids?
Not that
Or-
we would know. It's just stories amongst kids.
Ah, I see.
Yes.
Yeah,
Amongst kids. I don't even remember hearing it from parents or anything.
Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah, we
funny
had
stories.
a couple of stories of specific houses in our neighborhood
Uh-huh.
that we will walk by and we're like, don't go too close to that house or you will be RAPED.
Oh.
And I don't know where that came from,
Okay.
but it was just something that all the neighborhood kids would say is if you go too close to that house,
Yeah.
you'll be taken. And not just taken, but biblically
Oh.
taken.
No heaven for you.
No. It's all hell.
Because you enjoyed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we got canceled just like that. Blame the victim? Shut up.
That was never really in thought of our, as far as I can remember, it was never on our thought, like RAPE stuff. It was more of just kidnapping and that's that.
But that's the thing, like we didn't know that as kids.
Yeah.
We didn't know any of that.
Right.
You know
what
what I mean?
goes behind
Yeah.
after that?
No, yeah. Because for us, when this whole situation with the van that was just going in our area, we didn't know what they were doing to kids. We just knew that they were snatching kids up and taking them. You know what I mean? We didn't actually know any of the crazy details that I don't think that I remember learning about. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe it was always kept from us, right? But I do remember that at the time, and this was like the early 90s and like 1989, 1990, 91, 92, that, you know, a lot of like letters were going home to parents saying that if you can come and escort your kids home until we find who this person is that's snatching kids in this van, that maybe you should do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the problem was that a lot of parents couldn't because they were working. You know what I mean? So I grew up in a generation that's called a latchkey generation, where you were giving a key to your home and you were expected just to take the key, open your lock, and get in, and then just fend for yourself. Yeah.
Like what? When you're outside the house, just defend for yourself?
Yeah. Like you had a key to get into your apartment or your
Okay.
household. And, you know, just as soon as you're inside the house, you know, fend for yourself. Do your homework first. Okay. And then, you know, your mother or your father would cook dinner for you and they would leave it prepared for you. And you were expected just to put it in the microwave, heat it up, and have dinner.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then your parents came home around 6 or 7 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I remember because my mom would ask me, "Did you do your homework?" And if I said no, I would be in I'd be some serious trouble.
Physical.
Absolutely.
Me too.
You know, physical, but also mental. How dare you not finish your homework? Do you think we brought you to this country so you can be just like all these other white kids that don't do nothing? No,
That's so true.
absolutely not.
Yeah, you got to show him what the brown means.
Exactly.
How the
You know what I
Latino
mean?
makes it.
No, yes, you're a brown kid, but you know that means that you got to do better.
Yeah.
You have to work harder. So I grew up like that. You know what I mean? But
Right.
for me, the responsibility was also because I was the older brother of a younger brother, right? So I had to make sure that I go and pick him up from the younger grade that he was in, take him home, make sure that nothing happened to him, right? open the door to the apartment or the house that we were living in at the time, make sure that he did his homework, that he was fed, and that I fed myself and did my own homework before my parents got in. And if I didn't do that, then I would be in some serious trouble. And as I got older, the responsibilities for me became far more. But at the same time, my parents also provided me with a little incentive. So they would say to me, Carlos, we expect you to go and pick up your brother from his like younger grade school, you know, right? And which was literally just across the street from where the school that I was, right?
Right.
And pick him up, bring him home, clean the house, make sure that he does his homework, make sure that you do your homework, do the laundry if needed. Yes, okay. But every week, at the end of the week, I would get $20.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's
So
very lovely.
yes.
That's
So at the end of the month, that's $100. You know what I mean?
good. What month do you live in? It's $80.
Well, it
Okay,
depended.
all right.
It depended, right?
Some months.
Yes,
Fine.
it depended because I remember
$90.
I remember 80 or $100. It depended, and often I grew. This was during the time that the Nintendo 64.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
right. So all their games were between 60 to $80,
Mm,
right,
yeah,
to 100 maximum. So at the end of the month, I had enough money to be able to buy the latest game. So I had all my friends that just come over to my house. So my mom, she'd be like, why do I have to cook for all these kids that are, that are coming over to your house? And I'm like, Mom, they're my friends. I am popular. You know what I mean?
Oh, because $100 a
Yeah,
month
because I
doing
had
chores.
and yes, from chores and responsibility. So I had the latest Nintendo 64 game. Every month I had the latest game. And I would always remember reading Nintendo Power and thinking, what was the next game that was coming? You know what I mean? So I was thinking, the next game is Donkey Kong 64 or Mario Kart 64 or all these Nintendo 64 games. I had the latest fucking game. So I was the most popular motherfucking kid. You know what I mean?
Such a far out generation and childhood. Mine was PlayStation 1 or
Oh, shit.
PlayStation 2.
Well,
That
how
was
old are you?
11.
Okay, so
12.
I think that I'm just a little bit older than you. So.
Yeah, I think I saved so much.
Yeah.
We would go restaurants, Burger King, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't eat. Give me the $10. I would save it
Yeah.
to buy that PS4.
Did you grow up in the generation where there were arcade, like
It was like phasing out.
ah
When I first started getting into gaming, there were cafes, gaming cafes.
yeah.
And it just like started disappearing.
Oh man.
That's when the PS2s came
Yeah.
and everybody had them.
Yeah. You see,
I had them 5-10 years later.
with me,
Okay.
I grew up in the whole area where there were arcades, like actual
Like
arcade,
Back to the Future.
like all that shit was really popular. I remember that as a teenager, when I was in high school, we had a local arcade which was just north of Killen Eglinton. So, West End hood. You know what I mean? Like hood, like we were ghetto. You know what I mean? And just north of that, there was an actual arcade shop that all the kids would go and hang out during their lunch period. So whenever you would go into this arcade, all you would see was just rows of just arcade machines and just kids playing games.
Nintendo.
Just
What
just like all kinds of just Street Fighter,
Uh-huh.
Mortal Kombat,
Soccer.
soccer games, and also like a lot of racing games. There was a lot of like just racing games. What was I can't remember what the popular one. It'll come to me, but there was. I grew up in that generation where most of the kids hung out at the local arcade during lunchtime. You know what I mean? And sometimes in this local arcade, things got pretty fucking messy. Things got pretty messy, especially when X-Men versus Street Fighter came out. You know what I mean? Like people would get really competitive. Right?
Did he get angry back then?
Angry, you know what I
Fresh.
mean? And fights would break out. So we're all teenagers, and it was funny just thinking of it now, because I'm 43 years old now.
Whoa.
So-
Damn.
Well, I'm thinking of it now. The person that was probably running the arcade was probably my age now, and
Okay.
he had to deal with all these punk ass kids that was just starting fights for nothing. You know what I mean? Because I remember him just standing up, going, "Hey, shut up!
And quiet.
Don't you fucking kids have to be in school?" And we're like, okay, you know what I mean? We would quiet down, right?
Yeah.
But it would happen that way. It was just crazy. So for me, I don't know, man. I see that and I think, wow,
Yeah,
that's
so different.
so
The
different.
only arcade I remember is those Palladiums where you get the tickets, the coins,
Yeah, I
and
remember that. Yeah,
machines.
yeah.
That's the only thing. And beyond that, one arcade back home.
See, that's crazy because
Yeah.
Palladium and all that stuff came out when I was in college.
Oh, okay.
I
see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
finishing high school and going into college, and that's when all that shit became popular. Which is just, it makes me feel so old now.
And it's not, like, thinking about it, we were only like 10 years difference.
Mhm.
I guess my childhood, I was introduced to all of this stuff
Mhm.
much later.
Mhm.
Yeah, so about 5-10 years behind, and all the
That's so interesting.
it is different
Yeah.
parts. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do a lot of couch gaming. The vibe was different, was so different compared to now.
So what gaming system did you have as like growing up as a young man?
PlayStation.
PlayStation 1 or 2?
One was borrowed to me for a month.
Okay.
I loved it.
Uh-huh.
I have so much memories from that. Playing the same game repeatedly over and over again.
Yeah.
It was Crash Bandicoot.
Oh.
And there's no memory card for this. The memory card is very expensive.
It was, yeah.
For 4 or 8 megabytes.
Wow.
Yes. Not
Yeah.
even enough for a selfie picture nowadays.
Wow. No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Barely there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when
So
yeah, go ahead.
we'll try to get to the whole game.
Uh-huh.
And if you die, start over.
You have to,
Yeah.
You have
And
the
I
brutal
would.
way.
I would play it over again.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see, when the original PlayStation came out, for me, I got the original system when it came out, but then I think that I was just a really bad kid. Or
Naughty boy.
yes, but not necessarily because I was doing bad things. It's just I knew a lot of bad people.
Drug dealers.
Not
Are you
necessarily,
part of
but
the rape vans?
no. Well,
Oh.
I mean, no one got raped that I
Yes.
knew. But like, in terms of, okay, so everyone had a PlayStation, the original PlayStation,
Okay.
and then when PlayStation 2 came out, I had people that I knew in Chinatown that would install chips
Okay.
into your PlayStation and PlayStation 2 that would allow you to play pirated games.
Oh. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I mean, you think of it now, anyone can do that at home.
yeah, I have emulators on your
Yes,
PC.
emulators and all the schematics for all these things are available online. But this is like back in the day, like mid 90s, early 2000s. Probably not even that because the PlayStation 2 came out before the 2000s, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2002, if I could recall. That's when it
like
came
that.
out.
Yes, okay. So I knew people in Chinatown that I would
Toronto, Chinatown.
Chinatown,
Okay.
right here.
You don't want to go to Vancouver's Chinatown.
No.
I'll tell you about it.
That you would take your PlayStation to them.
Okay.
And it was all word of mouth.
Mhm.
So all these things, it's not like they were advertised. It was just you knew someone that would tell you to go to this one store in Chinatown, and you would ask, "Hey, so I have a PlayStation. Can you install a chip so I can play all your pirated games?" And they would say, "No, go away." And I'm
No.
like, "No, but
No.
I have the money." And they'll say, okay, leave your PlayStation and you come back tomorrow. You know what I mean? So
you trusted them. You left.
yes,
You did it.
I would give them $75 motherfucking dollars. Okay, which was a lot back then.
I believe it. Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then I leave my system with him for the night. I'd come back the next day and I'd be like, "Did you work on my system?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's done." So, they gave me the system and it looked exactly the same as how I brought it in, but they would tell me the chip is installed. Here is all the games that you have access to now. So they had a booklet of just pirated games that they had. So you want these games $5. So I'm thinking, holy crap. These are PlayStation 1 games that are brand new.
Yeah.
That I'm getting for $5 that were like $60 at Walmart. You know what I mean? Yes. So I'm thinking, holy shit. And then when the PlayStation 2 came out, it was even better because you had all the latest games just pirated in Chinatown. I had booklets of just pirated games. And me and my brother, we had so many fucking games. And it all just comes from the fact that I knew so many criminals.
Oh man, you have so much trust. And I remember that I tried that emulator. I had a PlayStation Portable. Again, something else I saved so much for. And I don't have trust to give this to someone, give them money. So I watched videos after videos after videos to open it, how to solder it.
Oh my God, you did that yourself?
Yes.
Oh shit.
There was this one leg you have to chopped it off, put the pieces back together, turn it on. It's bricked.
That was too much for me. Like I couldn't even be bothered with that shit.
I tried.
No. See, I had all the Chinatown connections back in the day. And because I remember, so Sailor Moon. Okay, we're gonna talk about Sailor Moon. Do you know who Sailor Moon is?
No.
Oh my God!
I don't know.
You don't know
different generation.
Oh my God!
Fossil characters.
Wow, fossil.
Sailor Moon.
I will tell you that Sailor Moon is classic.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, so it's an anime.
Anime.
It's an anime in Japan, and Sailor Moon is about a high school girl who transforms into a sailor warrior.
Oh.
Okay. In the 90s, it was very popular. Okay. But here in Canada, in the US, they only got up to episode 90. And then it stopped. Okay. So it was years before they continued the series because the majority of the rest of the series was a little bit too adult for kids in Western society. And it had more to do with the fact that it wasn't adult based. Like there was no sex, there was no nothing. It just, there was a lot of gay shit.
Oh,
like a lot of gay
that's
shit.
only for adults?
No, but in the 90s, it was considered only for adults.
To be gay?
Yes.
So you're 18 and you're allowed to be gay?
Well, you couldn't be 7 years old and be exposed to lesbianism. You know what I mean? Because it was considered taboo.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so they didn't.
Okay.
Yes, so they didn't air that stuff until much later on.
When the kids grew up.
In the 2000s, when things started to change culturally. Mind you, I grew up gay.
Huh?
Yes, so I'm a big homosexual, just so everyone knows. I'm a big fucking queer. And I grew up when we had no rights.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We weren't allowed to get married. We weren't allowed to be fucking working. And we weren't allowed to be openly gay.
Okay.
No. We didn't have no fucking rights. You know what I mean? All that changed in the mid 2000s.
I remember.
Yes.
I remember.
So
it was around 2006.
Around that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm what I consider myself a turn of the century queer.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Original.
No, because there were people that were in it before I was, but I remember not having rights and then having rights.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, transition.
Yeah. Well, see that? Yeah. Even that word has a different connotation now. I can't say that I'm transitioning into what? You can't say that no more.
You have rights now.
Yeah, transition into rights. No. You can't say that no more. You know what I mean? But in the past, that's how it was, right? So Sailor Moon was something that was not allowed on Canadian NTV programming from the third season and on because it was considered too gay.
Okay.
There was way too much gay shit. So what I would do, because I wanted to know what continued with the series, is that I would go to Chinatown and I would go to all my Chinatown connections. And I'm like, do you have Sailor Moon S? Like the next series, Super. So it's called Sailor Moon Super.
91.
Yeah. And so this was like 1996.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we have all these available here. So they would show me all the videos that they had. And I was like, holy shit. So this is all in Japanese with subtitles. You know what I mean? And I remember taking, and it was just video cassettes.
Yeah.
Not DVDs, video cassettes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And taking this shit home and popping it into my VCR. And me and my brother just were freaking out at all the gay and lesbian shit that was just being exposed to. And so we grew up with this stuff. And this is what my brother, who is straight as fuck, my brother is so straight. He is so progressive.
Still, or
he's still fucking progressive. You know what I mean? Because
Okay.
he defends my rights. You know what I mean? Like I remember I had an uncle that came from Honduras. So he didn't understand what this culture was like.
Sailor Moon culture.
No, like just you have gay rights.
I see.
This is the-
LGBT, HTP.
Because they have no rights in Honduras. This is where I come from, Honduras,
Same
right?
with my place.
Yes, right? So when I would just be living my own life, he'd actually get really drunk and really upset. And one time he tried to punch me
For being gay.
just for being gay.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I remember that he grabbed me. And mind you, I wasn't gonna do anything. I was gonna let him fucking strike me. Cause I'm like, okay, if he hits me, then I have the right to hit him back.
Yeah.
So I was gonna let
Fuck
him
him
hit
up.
me.
Yeah.
Yes. But my brother would
How
not
old
hit.
are you?
At the time?
Yes.
I think I was like 39 or 40.
Okay, so it's recent.
Recent. Yes,
Recent. Okay, yesterday.
pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I was
Yeah. So he came with
Yeah.
that mindset from back home
thinking-
where a person doesn't have any rights.
Oh, did he like saw you making out with some other
No,
man?
but
Or-
he knew. But the thing is, like, I never hid it from nobody.
Yeah.
I wasn't
I
gonna
see.
hide the fact that I'm this because you know what? Why do I need to fucking motherfucking hide it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, correct.
We were in Canada. We live in this open society. I'm not gonna fucking hide it just for your motherfucking convenience, just because you're upset by it. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Adapt to this fucking culture, right? But he wasn't adapting to the culture. You know what I mean?
What
so-
culture? The Volk culture?
The woke culture
Yes, they
where,
call it. I don't know.
where we have rights.
Yeah. Oh, I want to suck a dick.
I want to suck a dick and what?
Yeah.
What I gotta
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
do? What are you gonna do? What
Yeah.
I gotta do? Nothing.
Yeah, you watch.
It's like you watch. He's like, let me suck this man dick.
God damn it. This is so haram. Okay.
So anyways,
Yeah,
so he
you-
tried to punch me and my brother lost his fucking mind.
Mhm.
He lost his fucking mind. He pushed him over. And this fucking country, we accept people for who they are. And I didn't say nothing. And my brother just dealt with him. Dealt with him.
Yelled
anymore.
at him, give him discipline.
Pushed him
Mhm.
down and like, just dealt with that ass.
Oh,
And I was just like, I had to like stop him. I'm like, Ken, I'm like, yo, bro, like relax. You know what I mean? Like, hey, thank you, but shit, you need to fuck him up. I was gonna fuck him up. You know what I mean? But part of that was also because he was exposed to what I exposed him through,
Mhm.
just different cultures, which the Japanese in the 90s were far more aware of, the whole homosexuality
Yeah.
thing. And they were more open to it in Japanese anime than
Ah,
Western society was.
I see.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes. So there was a series called Sailor Moon Stars, which is the 5th season of Sailor Moon, where they actually had transgendered sailor scouts. So they were
Back in the 90s.
back in the 90s. This is the late 90s. So this would be 1998, 1999, around 2000. You know what I mean? Where they were from a different part of the solar system. They came to our planet as women They literally transformed into men to try and find their princess. And then when they're transformed into sailor warriors, they would transition into women. And you would see them go from blue to pink in their transformation sequence. And you would see them go from their masculine figures straight into their, suddenly they have breasts and suddenly they have, it was a whole fucking thing that like, so we grew up seeing that and thinking, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But we became so accustomed to it that we're just like, oh, okay, it was nothing. So for us, we were already exposed to that like years before it.
Through Chinatown.
Through Chinatown.
This reminds me of the deep web.
That's what it was. There was this one store in Chinatown that I would go and get these videos and I would order them from him. And I tell him, I want Sailor Moon Stars Volume 5. Can you get that for me? Because each volume came with 8 episodes. And he's like, yes. He said, you wait 2 weeks and I'll get it for you. And I'm like, how much? $45. And I would pay it.
Just to see some gay shit.
Just to see
anime gay shit.
But it wasn't even about that. It's just because the story was so involved. You know what I mean? And the story was so different. It was so cool and just so different that I grew up watching that shit, but so did my brother. Because we were both really invested. And so the rest of my family became invested in that shit because I would show them that. So we were all so far more advanced.
Oh man, completely different.
You know what I mean?
My anime was Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh.
But even Pokemon had the gay shit.
It did? No, it didn't.
Okay, Jesse and James. Jesse, James.
I thought that one is the girl.
No, so Jesse was the girl, James was the boy. Okay. But James in the original Japanese anime, whenever he wanted to make fun of women, he would cross-dress and he would show himself with big fucking
I remember that.
He'd have big voluptuous breasts.
Oh.
But in the Japanese text, it would say, don't get mad just because mine are bigger.
Yeah. I never picked up on that.
No, because it didn't show that in the American version that we got here in Canada, that we got that. Because they would never allow that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't know my Chinatown fest.
But what I'm saying is just like back in the day, I had a lot of fucking weirdo Chinatown connections. Just underworld Chinatown connections.
Privacy.
Well,
the key to the deep web. Before the deep web
deep web went deep.
Yeah. Way too deep.
I had that deep Chinatown connection.
Deep enough make you fart sound like
no.
Yeah, that's you. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll have you know that I'm tight. But anyways, do I remember in school anything that I thought was a big deal, but then ended up not being a big deal? Yes, I do remember one thing. I'm an immigrant child. So when I came here...
How old were you?
So I was in the first grade. So I would have been 6 years old. But I came here the year before that. Yeah. 6. So I was like 5 or 6 years old. Okay. And I remember just my English was so poor that certain things I couldn't communicate. And a lot of the white girls, because it was always fucking white girls, would fucking try to get me confused. And because I didn't know English.
Confused what?
And I'll tell you how. In the terms of just language. Because back in the day, I didn't have the mastery of the English language that I have now. Okay? So girls would say to me, yes means no and no means yes. Okay. That was so confusing
Okay,
to a fucking
confusing.
6-year-old
Yeah.
and to a 6-year-old immigrant who didn't know what yes or no meant in English. And then on top of that, you're just making it backwards, intentionally trying to confuse my stupid little ignorant ass because I didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. So I remember stressing out about that, not because they were being bitches, because they were being fucking white bitches, but more because I didn't understand what the fuck they were saying. And I would try to understand exactly what they were in the context that they were saying, but because it was flipped backwards, I couldn't grasp it just because my knowledge of the English language was so poor that I didn't understand what exactly it was that they were saying. So it would always confuse me what they would say, and that would always give me anxiety because I didn't know what the fuck these fucking white bitches were saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All I was trying to be was just being nice. You know what I mean? Like, we just be friendly, and they were just being mean little cunts.
Is that what you thought at the time?
I remember this one bitch.
Okay. Let's talk about this bitch. Who's this bitch?
She was a redheaded bitch.
Okay.
Okay. And she had bangs. So, like, bangs that were cut up to here. Okay. So, since that point, every single fucking woman, girl or woman, until recently, because I had to like learn to just let that go, I would discriminate against. Absolutely not. Now I will admit to that. I would discriminate a bit against a bitch because she had bangs. Why? Because automatically I thought you were a cunt. Even though you weren't a cunt, you might be a cunt because you had fucking bangs. Why? Because I was harassed as a kid by bitches that had fucking bangs.
Specifically
White bitches with red hair.
It's so messed up.
So, anyways, I'm looking at my producer.
Texting you, shut up.
He's like, I'm gonna have to edit that out.
The Shallow Show!
Having the ability to go back in time.
Oh fuck.
How do we go back in time? Time machine? Hot tub time machine?
Okay. So
No,
do you actually
Too
want to
hot
get?
for it.
Hang on. Do you actually want to get scientific about it, or do you want to get theoretical?
Let's get scientific about it.
All right.
I
So
could. How would you get?
there'll be no way for us to
Time
actually to actually go back in time.
Okay.
There's no way for us to actually.
Oh,
do that.
exactly. Because you can't change it.
It's not just that. It's just we as a species cannot produce the amount of energy that it would take to be able to power a machine to be able to break the barrier between time and space to actually go back in time
To change time.
to change
Can't
time.
time.
We cannot.
But if we're talking about a multiverse, have a way
That's all theoretical.
to change another universe
Oh my god. Okay.
of your childhood, a point in time, something that changed everything,
Mhm.
good or bad.
What would yours be?
What might be?
Yes.
Oh.
What would you change?
What would I change?
What would be so?
There are changes that I should make. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if I would be capable of.
Which
Being
thinking about it
better
now.
in school,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Being better in studying.
Mhm.
But
But
You
was
know-
there anything specifically that you think about now that you would say, if I had the ability to go back and change, I would change that because it would cast my future in a different trajectory?
I don't think I would change anything. But I do wonder
But-
what would happen. We had a choice
Mhm.
between moving into Canada or Australia. So I do wonder how
Oh.
the life is so different. Australia, you got to learn how to survive tiny little poisonous bugs everywhere.
Yes.
Here, you're only dealing with the goose, which, you don't want to fuck with the goose anyway.
No, those fucking turkey raptors are horrible.
Oh, yes,
Yes, no.
completely different culture.
Mhm.
But no, I wouldn't change anything. Yeah, there was a lot of mistakes, you're learning, but
Mhm.
everything turns out right.
Mhm.
No.
Mm.
Being more disciplined would be better. A lot of
Mhm.
things you could achieve much earlier.
Yeah.
As opposed to later,
Okay.
if you were just disciplined, less procrastination, tiny little chores that you should do that would change you who you are throughout your day. Something small, little bit like making your bed every day. Today, till this day, I don't think it's so important to be making your bed,
Okay.
but it is a form of discipline.
It is.
That's the only thing about it. So you, as you go through life, you tend to change your habits,
Mhm.
add routines to build that,
Mhm.
to prevent procrastination, because no one's there to save you anymore.
Fair enough.
It's just you. So I don't know if I would change anything. Yeah, building on better habits, sure. So
yeah.
you could go through it much sooner. Learning about nutrition,
Oh shit.
yes, because that can really fuck you up if you're
Well-
not eating rice with potato.
Listen, I'm a fat ass bitch.
Yeah,
So
I
like, so rice and potatoes and tortillas was my motherfucking problem. Okay.
Cheese with
Fuck.
nachos. Yes.
Okay, so my family, we would have a in our plate of just food.
Yeah,
It'd be a protein, okay, a carb, like rice,
Okay.
and then another carb, like tortilla,
Yeah.
and then another carb,
Potatoes. You can't forget about the
something. You know what I
potato.
mean? And then maybe just a little salad.
Maybe. just to show people that's
just to show that you're healthy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
conveniently the
Right.
salad falls on the floor.
But thinking about that now, and because I've changed my eating behavior, and just because fuck, it's protein, carb,
yeah,
and then
maybe salad.
Well, no wonder I was a fat kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what the fuck, you know what I mean? Yeah. So definitely,
I
that
remember.
is one thing that I would change if I was able to go back in time. However, let me continue with this. Okay. To go back in time is next to impossible. But what you can do is go forward in time.
Mhm.
Yes. So if me and you,
Yes.
okay, were to travel in a spaceship
Yes.
and we would go, let's say, close to our sun, and we would orbit, the spaceship wouldn't melt if we were around our sun, and we were,
Safe habitatable. zone.
yes, we were orbit our sun. Okay.
Like we do already.
Right, but right next to the sun.
Okay. Next.
Okay.
Closer. Okay.
Yes. So what happens is when something that has a vast amount of gravity,
Yes.
like the sun, okay, the faster you move around something that has a huge amount of gravity, the slower time goes
relative to you.
to you, right?
Yeah.
So me and you would be experiencing the time as we are now, but the time outside the spaceship would be going faster.
Yes.
Okay. So by the time we stop spinning around this, let's say we decided on around 55 rotations of the sun, going at a certain speed, close to the speed of light. Okay. By the time we stop that, it would be further into the future than when we started. Probably
Yes.
about 100 or 300 years into the future. So we would literally time travel into the future from one point to another. So it's not possible to actually scientifically go back in time, but it is possible to go forward in time
Yes.
if we just go around a source of gravity, but we'd have to go close to the speed of light or at the speed of light. And
Which
it's
we
not
don't
possible.
have the technology
No, we don't
right
have the
now.
technology to
But
actually
yes,
produce that.
there was a point in the movie Interstellar where every
exactly.
second or an
Yes.
hour equivalent of
To
multiple
8, 9
weeks,
years.
the
Yes.
guy goes.
Yes, you know what I mean. That's what's
Yeah.
called time dilation. You know
Of
what I mean?
course. Yeah.
So we can
yeah.
actually do
Ein-
that
Einstein.
if we have, you know,
To go into the future.
yes, but we can't go back in time,
No,
right?
we can't.
However,
But we can look back in time. If we're able to somehow,
mhm,
some way, travel so far away,
Mhm.
let's say 65 million light years away,
mhm,
and we have a very nice telescope,
yes,
as fantastic as
Yeah.
it is, and we look at the direction of Earth,
yeah, we would see the past.
the dinosaurs
Yes,
at 65 million years
Right.
ago. Okay, theoretically,
Yeah.
very impossible.
no, because it just,
Some ways.
Yeah. So, but if let's say,
Yeah.
that I were able to go back in time
With the time machine.
with a time machine,
Okay.
would I change anything? You see, the thing is, at the way that my life turned out now,
Yeah.
which I honestly don't think is that bad.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I don't.
Why not?
Because
Yeah.
I've learned.
Here you are with a mohawk as a 43-year-old. How bad could it be?
This is for a goddamn movie, okay?
Oh,
At least I can see that I'm
shit.
filming a movie,
Okay. Oh,
man. You know what I mean?
shit.
So it's not even just because it's a mohawk that I'm choosing. This is for a film. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is the only thing that I think that I would change is just pursuing the whole TV and film thing earlier.
As a child star.
As a child or maybe a teenager.
What if you had like a producer as Harvey Weinstein?
Well, if that meant
You'd be
spreading
very-
my fucking body.
Oh, you would like that, of course. Okay, of
maybe if
course.
listen, you couldn't
Yeah.
Me Too me if I enjoyed it. Okay? Because if he's licking my asshole
Yeah.
and I'm getting the fucking private jet,
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
Gwyneth Paltrow was
Gotta
fucking complaining about
remember
that
we're
shit.
talking about kids.
Oh. Then maybe not.
Maybe not. No.
Oh, wait. So was I 12 or 18? Which one?
You were 18.
Okay,
for
then I'm legal.
purposes.
It's fine.
Yes.
He can lick my asshole. It's no problem. Okay? I will do that for the private jet. Gwyneth Paltrow, shut the fuck up. Anyways. Okay. But anyways, he's in jail.
Oh yeah.
Dying.
And here,
somewhere.
he promised you whole kind of rules and top movie picks, and yeah, he's in jail and you didn't get it.
Well, because he didn't offer it to me. Because fuck, if he would have said, "Listen, I will give you a role in my latest Miramax film. All you have to do is let me eat that asshole." Be like,
Whoa.
I don't know, Harvey.
You didn't even have to offer me anything.
Harvey, I mean.
You're fucked up.
No, I would say no. Wink, wink.
Okay.
No. Hang on. Because on that topic,
Okay.
okay, as fucked up as that is, okay?
There are a lot of actors that,
Yes.
and then there are some like Justin Bieber who just fucked up.
Right. So-
One of many.
So for me, in the TV and film industry here in Toronto, I have had many opportunities to that
After parties?
after parties,
Oh.
casting directors. That
You
have
don't
said-
invite?
There was one casting director, and I'm not going to say who it is because they're still active in the community.
Okay.
And I'm not going to.
You will tell me later?
Maybe.
Ma-
But-
okay. Wait, what? No, I'm not excited. I don't want to.
But they would say to me,
Oh.
Carlos, you would get a lot more roles if you put out more milk and cookies
Uh-huh. For Santa,
for whoever
I
wanted
see.
to eat those milk and cookies.
Harvey Claus.
And I remember looking at them and going, child, my cookie would break you in half. And then they laughed, I laughed, ha 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 ha, ha. End of conversation.
I don't think you understood what that meant.
But I would have literal, because in Canada, from what I've seen, it was never the men.
Mhm.
It was always the women.
Women doing the Harvey.
Yes.
Oh,
It was a woman.
the
cast-
older women. Cougars.
cougars.
I call
Oh.
them cheese.
Yes, but I mean, and people won't believe it, and that's fine.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to, right? What?
You will tell me later.
Maybe.
I like cheese.
You like cheese, eh? You slut. Anyways, but in Canada, it was always the women.
Oh,
Yeah. There was one time that I remember.
sugar mama.
Hey,
That's what they are.
I'm not going to tell you how
Okay.
old they were or how young they were because that will bait me out.
I
But
see.
anyways, I remember one time we had this casting session, and the casting director was like, "So, how far are you willing to change your appearance for this role?"
Okay.
And then I remember remember looking at them and saying, "Listen, I will shave whatever you want me to shave."
I'll be your little
and-
boy.
And I said that to them. I
Uh.
will shave whatever you want me to shave. And I said it like that
Yeah.
in such a deep voice and sexual way
Okay.
that they kind of looked at me and they went. And the camera guy that was behind the camera, like the operator, just looked from the camera like that. They just, and then I looked at him and I giggled and went.
This giggling.
So it was a whole giggle fest because we were just like, we're all sexually harassing ourselves right here.
Oh, man.
But I never went there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I always had that professionalism and I said to myself, I'm not going to do that
Mhm.
because I either make it from my own fucking talent or I don't. I'm not going to make it because I'm good in bed or because I have a big fucking
Or
fat
you
cock.
could just be used. Not that.
No, you can't fuck me
Why not?
because I no.
But I wanna.
Because no, you know what I mean? Like I have talent, and it's not the talent of my asshole; it's the talent of my fucking skill as a motherfucking actor. It's not the talent of my fucking fat, juicy cock. No, it's the talent that I have as a motherfucking actor. So I either make it as a motherfucking actor, or I get into porn, and I haven't gotten into porn just yet. And I've been in this industry for 17 motherfucking years. So.
Oh, shit. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Very good. Very good. Very good. There's a little bit of a discipline right there.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And discipline.
Yes.
The Shallow Show!
My whole intention about this childhood theme was to keep it a little bit PG, and it completely. Thank you, Carlos. Completely.
I'm sorry.
Reeled off. Well, no, it was okay.
Uh-huh.
I was enjoying.
Mm.
Okay, change the rating
Mm.
from PG-13 to don't listen to it. And that is what it was. That is the first episode of our Sholo show.
Yeah.
Sholo
Sholo.
show.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Mhm.
And nothing interesting, nothing to learn about, but just a little bit of shit talking between.
Bullshit.
Yeah, whole lot of bullshit. From I am Shoeib, and this is
Carlos.
Carlos.
Mhm.
There we go. That's the low part of the
Mm.
show.
Shit.
There we go.
All right. I'm the low part. Goddamn. Anyways.
All right. Like and subscribe
Mm-hmm.
for some more. We'll
All
see
right,
next
kiddies.
week.
We'll see you next week. You take care.
All right.
The Shallow Show!